Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're continuing today, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 48 and 49. So yesterday we did verse 48. You have your Bhagavad Gita? If you don't, you can take one here. So, yoga sta kuru karmani sangam tyakva dhananjaya siddhi siddhayo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. I'm sorry, samatvam yoga uchyate. So, yesterday our homework was to, what was it? You want it? Explain the difference between... Yeah, working as a matter of duty for Krishna and working for your own sense gratification. That was the homework yesterday based on this verse and the purport. And plus there were some definitions you had to write out also. The definition of equipoised, equanimity, yoga, and proprietorship, and also Varnashram Dharma, and I think that was it. So, did you do your homework? Yes? Okay, you can read it. Good. Wait a minute. What, no, read the second one again. Second one. That's dictation? Okay. What's the first one? Okay, go ahead. Okay. 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 Go ahead. Attachment comes? Yes. Well, you always can go back, but it's difficult. Yes.
consciousness, like you pause your advancement, and then the senses are never satisfied. So even if you try satisfying them, it'll just the cycle will go on and on and on.
Yes.
Okay, so then working in the matter of duty for Krishna. So Prabhupada explains that in the beginning that you're like, if you realize that you're the body, if you realize that you're the consciousness, not the body, then you'll just think that what are you supposed to do? Just stop working, don't do anything. But then, you have to, Krishna gave a prescribed duty to follow, and that's varnashram dharma, and it's meant to engage your it's like a duty, it's like a social order made to engage your senses so that you can only satisfy Krishna. And then also it's said that the senses are so strong that even if you're engaged 4 of your senses in Krishna consciousness, if one sense is used for sense gratification, it can disturb your path in spiritual advancement.
Yes.
And then, so we have this proprietorship over, we think that we are the, we own things and we run, we think we can control over things. For example, you gave how we come to temple to take darshan. People say, I'm going to come to temple to take darshan, but actually that's for your own sense gratification. You should just come to temple for the deities to see you. So then, similarly, if you have this proprietorship,
you come to the temple so that the deities can see you.
Yeah, not for
so
you can see them.
Deity.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between the deity seeing you and you seeing the deity?
When you see the deities, then you're doing it for your own sense gratification. Not exact. It's like a spiritual type of sense gratification, but it's still for your own benefit.
Yes.
And then when we're coming for the deities to see you,
in other words, when you come for darshan, you are coming with the idea of having some kind of entertainment or pleasure for your senses. Yeah. But the real meaning of darshan is you come so that Krishna can see you bowing down, and that gives pleasure to Krishna. And see you saying prayers of glorification of the Lord. All that is for the pleasure of the Lord. But if you come to see the Lord, but it's actually a type of entertainment, just like you go to the movies, right? When you see the movie, what is the purpose?
To gratify your senses.
Yeah, to entertain yourself.
Yeah.
But the idea is to come so that Krishna can see you do what? Glorify Him by saying choice prayers, see you bowing down to Him, see you making an offering to Him, see you hearing about Him. All that gives Krishna pleasure. But coming in and saying, oh, the deities are nice, and look at the flowers, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but basically that's more for your own satisfaction. Go ahead.
So also, when you're trying to satisfy the senses, it's said in Bhagavad Gita 2.67 in the purport that the senses, it's like a rule that you cannot satisfy them in this material world because they're never satisfied, and you'll just get more entangled. But yeah, about the proprietorship, so you have to lose this proprietorship in order to serve Krishna, because you have to understand that He is the proprietor.
Sense of proprietorship.
Yeah, the sense of proprietorship.
You don't lose proprietorship because you accept that Krishna is the proprietor. Right?
Yeah.
If you lose the sense of proprietorship, then it's like being a Mayavadi. So nothing belongs to anybody, not even to Krishna.
Yeah. So then, you can only lose the sense of your proprietorship.
Yes.
If you are the servant of Krishna. So you have to be the servant of Krishna so that you can perform, that you can like have like a humble mood, so that you can perform your service to Krishna. And then when you do your, like, you can perform your duty properly, like understanding who Krishna really is. And then once you can serve Krishna properly, then you're doing your duty in the Varnashram Dharma. Like, you're just, like, you don't get any karmic reactions, and then you can make advancement.
Yeah, so unless one satisfies Krishna, one cannot correctly observe the principles of Varnashram Dharma.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so again, like the whole point of Varnashram Dharma is to serve Krishna. So ultimately, at the end, after understanding everything, like after losing your sense of proprietorship and understanding who Krishna is and following your duty, then the ultimate goal is just to serve Krishna. And then by serving Krishna, only by serving Krishna, then you can be, actually, like in the morning class today, you said that only, I mean, if you serve Krishna, then you can be happy in this material world. And that's like the actual liberation. It's not to like go back to the heavenly planets. It's to go back, I mean, it should just become, it's to like be satisfied by serving Krishna.
Yes, and not disturbed by anything.
Yeah.
In other words, you maintain neutrality. Of course, if someone blasphemes Krishna, or Krishna's pure devotee, you don't just sit there and say, oh, I'm going to be neutral. No, then you have to be active. You have to stop the person. But in general, when you're seeing all kinds of arguments going on and conflict going on, you don't let that disturb your service.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Haribo.
Is that done? Yeah, very good. Yeah, so this morning we discussed something that was very interesting, and that is, why was Vyasadeva dissatisfied after writing so many Vedic literatures? Well, it is because he had a hint, but he wasn't sure. He wanted to hear it from his guru, Narada Muni. And that's the correct thing to do. Whenever you have a doubt, what's point 5 of our 6 points of logic? Whenever you have a doubt, what do? You look up on the internet. What do? Yes, Yamuna.
You confirm with, you confirm with the triangle of verification.
You ask Shiksha or Diksha Guru,
yeah.
Right? So here, Vyasadeva is asking his guru, Narada Muni. He said, I have a hint, but I'm not sure myself. I want to hear it from your lips. Why am I feeling despondency? Why am I feeling frustrated? I've written so many scriptures, compiled the 4 Vedas and compiled some of the Puranas. Maybe he wrote some of them also, and he wrote the entire Mahabharata, and he wrote the Vedanta Sutra, and maybe compiled some Samhitas, and he's still feeling despondent. He's still feeling dissatisfied. So he wants to hear it from his guru, and then his guru Narada says, "Well, yeah, you're not feeling happy because you haven't. Although you wrote so much scripture, you didn't explain clearly that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that you didn't glorify him enough. You glorified him a little bit, but not enough." So let's read that. He says, you have explained Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Write down these four words. Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A. Artha, A-R-T-H-A. Kama, K-A-M-A. And Moksha, M-O-K-S-H-A. What are these? Dharma means following religion or religious rules and so forth. and acting out of duty. Artha means economic development. E-C-O-N-O-M-I-C, economic development. Dharma, artha. Kama means sense gratification, but actually it means regulated sense gratification according to the Vedas. So you just put sense gratification, but understand it's regulated sense gratification. And moksha means liberation. So Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva that the root cause of his dissatisfaction, of his despondency, was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in all the different things he wrote. Yes. Kama is sense gratification. But it means what? Dharma means following the principles of religion as a matter of duty. Duty means you have to do it. You can't avoid it. Okay? So he says that the root cause of his dissatisfaction was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in his various editions of the Puranas and all the different things he wrote. But on the other hand, it says he gave some glorification of the Lord, meaning Krishna, but not as much as he did to explaining Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The religiosity, sense gratification, economic development, and liberation. He says, these four items are by far inferior to engagement in a devotional service of the Lord. So this is a major theme in the Bhagavad Gita, and as we keep reading some more verses in the second chapter, it's going to become clearer and clearer that simply following the rituals of spiritual life, and the Varnashram Dharma system is full of rituals that you have to perform. That is not the purpose of spiritual life. It may help one advance, but it's not the purpose in itself, because those rituals are performed usually for material benefits, such as religiosity, such as coming to the temple to take darshan, you see, rather than for Krishna to see you, you're coming to see Krishna, see? Or Dharma, Artha, economic development, doing rituals so that you get rich. And Kama, doing rituals so you have better sense gratification. And then liberation, doing rituals so you can be elevated to the heavenly planets in the material world where the sense gratification is much, much better and very, very long in duration. So all those things are not actually the goal of spiritual life. The goal is to glorify Krishna. So we have prayers like Brahma Samhita. What does that do? What's Brahma Samhita about? Is it about Mayapur? What is it about?
Bring to
Brahma what?
Lord Brahma, when like something like he's he's like trying to make Krishna come, like because like he's trying to like create something or something.
No, he's glorifying Krishna. He's praising Krishna. He's explaining so many nice things about Krishna. Vainam Kvanantam Aravinda Dalayat Aksham. He's saying Krishna is playing his flute, and he's surrounded by so many deity gopis, and he's so beautiful, like that. It's just glorifying him, right? So Narada Muni is explaining to Vyasadeva that this glorification of Krishna is much greater than simply following Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And he says, instead of giving more importance to the better type of engagement, meaning devotional service to the Lord, Vyasadeva improperly used his valuable time talking mostly about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These are 4 actually material goals. They're not actually pure spiritual goals. And because no one can be really happy without being engaged in a devotional service to the Lord. This is the main point. So, but if by reading all those scriptures, you don't end up really convinced that I should completely surrender to Krishna and be engaged 100% in devotional service of the Lord. You don't actually come to that conclusion. You do come to that conclusion by reading Bhagavad Gita, but that's only one little chapter of the Mahabharata. And you definitely come to that conclusion by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's explained over and over again. So now we know why people are unhappy in life. Now this is an important point, right? Because so many people are unhappy in this material world. So, Tulsi, why are people unhappy? Go ahead, say it in the microphone.
They have too much sense gratification.
Well, they think that gives them happiness. But even after all that sense gratification, they still feel unhappy. Why? Yes, Prabhu. Let him give him the microphone. Now, Tulsi, you have to write down the answer, okay? Why are people unhappy, even after a lot of sense gratification? Yes, Prabhu.
They're in the body level.
Well, that's more or less the same thing as they're engaged in sense gratification. So that's not the answer. Anybody else want to answer? Okay, Yamuna. Oh, wait a minute. Not Mayapur, you wanted to answer?
Yeah.
Why are people unhappy, even after a lot of sense gratification? Okay, let Yamuna answer. Listen carefully now. This is an important question. Go ahead.
Is it because they're not engaged in Krishna service?
Exactly right. When you're doing these pujas, it's more for their personal benefit than for actually pleasing Krishna. So it says here that no one can be pleased substantially, no one can actually attain happiness, sustained happiness, without being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is clearly mentioned. So now, Agastya, why do people feel unhappy even after a lot of sense gratification? Yeah, and they're not engaged in Krishna's devotional service. Now, do you think this is true? What do you think, Arush? Do you think people are unhappy even after a lot of sense gratification? Let's say you go to Disneyland, and on the way home, are you happy or unhappy? Why? What? You wanted to stay there more. That's true. I mean, he's telling the truth. It's a fact. Okay, let's say you go to Wild Waters. You know where that is? Wild Waves. Wild Waves. Are you happy on the way home? Why? What? You were happy? Yeah. How long did your happiness last? You're happy the whole what? Home. How about after you got home? Still happy? See, now, Mayapur is not telling the truth because I've seen him. I've seen him like crying and getting angry so many times. Okay, you were happy that day. But here the question is whether it's sustainable happiness, continual happiness. See? No, it's not. Okay, so you're going to see as you grow up that even if you analyze yourself now, you'll see that you don't, through sense gratification, you don't get sustainable happiness. You get some temporary happiness, but then something else happens and you're miserable again, or you're not feeling so happy. So this happiness thing in material life is up and down. It's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. You agree with that, Sanskriti? Do you have experience of that? It's like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not happy. It goes up and down. Right. Now, sometimes it goes so far down that even kids want to commit suicide. And adults definitely want to commit suicide many times because when it goes down, they can't stand it and they just try and kill themselves. Okay. So, this is an important point and this is the main theme in the Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam, that it's clearly indicated that no one can be pleased substantially. That means in a very sustained way for uninterruptedly, without being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. But someone who is engaged all the time in Krishna's service, they attain this state of neutrality. Yamuna, what does neutrality mean? That was one of the words you had to
Neutrality means, Hare Krishna, you're not attached to material. Okay, you gave this definition. Yeah. I didn't search it up because I had the definition you gave.
Yeah.
So it's neutrality means you are not attached to material things, neither do you reject them, but you find a way to use them in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, you're not affected by what happens. Sometimes there's success, sometimes there's failure, but it doesn't disturb your devotional service. Right. Mayapur wants to say something. Okay, what do you want to say?
I searched it up on the web, and it meant like when okay. So it said Switzerland maintained
equilibrium,
neutrality in the war or something.
That's another definition of the word. Neutrality means you don't take, in that sense, means you don't take any sides. All right? But the way we're using it, or the way Prabhupada is using it here, is you're not disturbed by what happens, happiness or distress, success or failure. You continue doing your devotional service as a matter of duty. Duty means you have to do it whether there's success or failure. That's the culture of a real devotee. What does culture mean? Anybody?
Okay.
Go ahead. What does culture mean? Krishna is 1 1/4 today. He's getting closer to being 1. Is that the answer? Hare Krishna.
Culture means your religion that you follow, your service that you do to God, to your God.
That's spiritual culture, but what does the word culture mean?
What you follow, the rules that you follow.
Okay. Actually, how you do things, how you eat, how you talk, how you relate to people, and how you dress, and how you sleep, and how you wake up, and everything that you do, how you do it. If you do it according to Krishna consciousness, that's called Krishna culture. If you don't do it according to Asura or demon culture, it's called Asuric culture. If you do it according to American culture, it's American culture. How you eat, how you sleep, how you dress, how you talk, how you relate to people, how you see the world. That's all comes under the title of culture. So we're learning here Krishna culture, how to do things to please Krishna. Other people are learning different types of culture, how to please themselves or their family or their race or their country, right? Krishna culture is how you do things to please Krishna. Okay, my not now. So now we'll continue. That was sort of like a summary of what we did yesterday. Now we'll continue, and if you have your sheets from yesterday, we finished, let's see, the first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph, fifth paragraph. We are on the sixth paragraph. So now Agni Dev will lead us for this. Now for a householder, according to our Vedic system, I have already described to you 4 divisions of social system.
The second paragraph on page 3. Okay? Now, for a householder, according to our Vedic system, I have already described to you the 4 divisions of social system and 4 divisions of spiritual orders. Now, all the social system and orders, they are so designed that everyone is working for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. In a higher section of the social order, just like the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, the system is that in every household they establish the deity, means the form of the Supreme Lord, either in a picture or in an idol. They establish that. Now, what is the function in your household affairs? You have got wife, you have got children, and you require some money. And the activities in household affair is that you have to get some stock, yeah, from the market, and they are bought in your house, and they are stocked, and in due time they are cooked, and you take your foodstuff and then you go to your work. This is generally the whole system of household work. Prabhupada is putting it very simple, that a householder, family, they've got children, and generally the man, he goes to work to get money to buy food, because everyone needs food to live. So he buys food from the market, brings it home, and they've got food in stock. And then at a certain time they'll cook, and then you take your foodstuffs, and then you go to work. This is generally the whole system. Now, here, the Yogastha Kurukarmani, in India, there are still many families. At least in my family, when I was a family man, I was also doing this. That the deity, Lord Krishna, or the Murti, Murti means deity or form of Radha and Krishna was established in a room that is called the God's room. This was Prabhupada's upbringing in his house, culture, how he lived. There was a room set aside in the house where the deity was kept, and that was God's room, he says. So, in the God's room, our duty was to rise early in the morning and open the door of the God's room, offer him some prayers, some kirtan, then cleanse the room, and then begin our daily duties. Take our breakfast, etc. The whole idea is that the proprietor of the house is the Supreme Lord. When people get deities in their home, it's establishing that the deity is the proprietor. He is the Lord of the house. He is the owner of the house. Thakur. And therefore the first thing they did is rise early in the morning, go to his room, the God's room, and offer respects, offer prayers, or a little kirtan. And of course, food is prepared and offered so that the residents in the house, the children, husband, wife, they can get prasadam, they can have breakfast. But no one will have breakfast unless the deity gets his breakfast. So everything goes first because he's the Lord.
Family. Told about family. That if you didn't show the Mongol art, they would charge you a fine.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah. Prabhupada said he knew one rich, very wealthy family. I forget their name. And it was established that if any member of the family, and it was a big family, means even extended family. That's how it is in India. You know, if any family member didn't come to Mangal Arati, they would be fined. You know, boy, if you institute that here, temple would make a lot of money. Because there's so many devotees who don't come. But the idea is, why is the deity here? Why is the Krishna here? Krishna Murti, why is he here? It's for you to come and serve him. But you're not coming, so he doesn't see you. As we say, darshan means not that you come to see him, but you come so that he can see you. And this is to be done daily. So, the whole idea is that the proprietor of the house is the Supreme Lord, is Krishna. And we, meaning every member in the family, we are all his workers, his servants. This is the whole idea. So now, I'm going to my office, to my work. I have a job. I'm going to earn some money, because without money, my household affairs cannot be run. So I'm thinking that this money is required, otherwise God's service will be stopped. You see how the work is connected to God. I'm going to work because I need money to buy foodstuffs, so that I can offer to Krishna. If I don't get money, then service to Krishna will stop. This was the training. This is the culture. This is Krishna culture. So in earning that money in my office or in my workplace, my God consciousness is still there. It doesn't stop because I'm going to work. My God consciousness is in my house because I have deity, and even when I go to work, my God consciousness doesn't stop. Therefore, even in earning money, whatever may be the process, you are still situated in yoga. That is called yoga stha. Now you get your money, then you go to the market, you go to the shops, and you are thinking, oh, this is a very nice thing. It can be offered to Lord Krishna. Just like sometimes, Prabhupada is saying, just like sometimes you devotees bring some fruits for me, and you are thinking out of your love, oh, Swamiji will like this fruit. So the consciousness is love. Out of love, you think of Swamiji. And similarly, Swamiji is thought of because he is in relation with God. So similarly, we can also think of God or anything in relation with God. That is God consciousness. Just like electric charge, anything connected with the powerhouse is surcharged with electricity. So you can see all at work, all day long, at home, your consciousness can still be Krishna consciousness, can still be on Krishna. Next page, what does he say? So, our life should be so formed or molded, our life should be molded so that in our every activity there will be God consciousness. We mold our life in such a way that we're always Krishna conscious. That is the technique of yoga stha. You haven't got to go to separately be seated in a meditation as yoga. That is what generally people think, that meditation, you go and you sit somewhere quiet and you meditate. But Prabhupada is saying, no, in all your activities, it can be a meditation. Cooking is a meditation. Actually, everything can be a meditation on Krishna. So you'll always be Krishna conscious. He said, now, how much time can you devote to meditation? Suppose 1 hour in the morning or 1 hour in the evening you can devote for meditation. But if you mold your life in such a way that always, 24 hours, you are in meditation, that is the platform of yoga sta kuru karmani. Because there are many people, different societies out there, yoga societies, where they practice meditation 30 minutes a day, and then that's generally how they think of it. I'm going to go do yoga for 30 minutes or an hour, and during that time I'll do some meditation. And then when I leave that place, there's no more meditation, there's no more yoga. But here, Prabhupada is explaining that Krishna is saying it doesn't have to end, it can continue. You see? He says, I am earning money, right? I'm going to work for earning money to serve Krishna. So that is yoga. I'm earning money for the Supreme Lord, and then when I earn that money, I buy things for cooking, and I'm thinking, these things will be nice to cook for the Lord. And then your wife cooks, she's also very clean because she's cooking for the Lord. She's cooking for Lord Krishna, you see? So as far as I am concerned here, I also cook myself. I cook my food and I offer it to Krishna, and therefore I ask my friends that unless it is offered to Krishna, you please do not take it.
This is culture.
This is the culture.
This is the culture.
Prabhupada came to America. He was a fully cultured, Krishna cultured person. And he came, and people who were coming around to the temple, who eventually became his disciples, they didn't have that culture. We didn't have that culture. But this was how he lived. Actually, he lived his whole life like that. So,
Culture's being lost.
oh yeah, that traditional culture of India is, as Prabhu says, it's being lost in India.
We don't want to lose it here.
Yeah, and then you come to America, in a place like here, where there's no culture. Therefore, Prabhupada established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a society within society where you can develop and revive this culture. So, he says, I cook for the Lord, and I will not eat anything unless it is first offered to the Lord. Prabhupada says, sometimes I see that in your country, meaning in America, that while cooking food, people taste it. The spoon they're stirring the food with, they take it out and taste it. And he said, but my request is that don't taste while cooking. That is how Prabhupada trained us to cook. You don't taste it until after it has been offered. After Krishna has tasted, after Krishna has eaten, then you can taste. Sometimes people would ask, you don't taste? How do you know it will come out good? I said, by practice. By practice, it comes out perfect. So he says, after cooking is finished, when it is offered to the deity, then you take as much as you like. So that means there is God consciousness, that this thing is being cooked for the Lord. Cooking will go on. If you don't think of God, you require to cook because you want to eat. So cooking is there in your program. But if you think that this cooking is done for God, then your God consciousness is there. So you see how in every activity that you do, you have to try to link it. You can be God conscious. So Prabhupada says, so the Lord may be offered first, and then we shall take. This is God consciousness. But it is a very is it a very difficult thing? Now Prabhupada is asking, is it so difficult that you offer the food first and then eat it? No, it's not so difficult. It's just lack of culture. So he says, it's not a very difficult thing. Anyone can do it. Because your cooking business is not stopped. You still do, you were cooking before, and you will be still cooking now, but you will offer it to Krishna first. So he says, simply the mode of thinking has to be changed. That's all. It's a small little technique. I am earning money for God, I am cooking for God, and I'm also eating for God. How is it that you are eating? Because my body is dedicated to the service of the Lord. If I don't eat sufficiently to keep my body fit, then how can I work? So, in this way, your eating is also God conscious. Your sleeping, look at that, you're sleeping. That can also be God conscious. So that is the way we have to mold our life's activities. Now, when I think that I have to keep this body fit for working for God, then that is not bodily conception of life. Just like when you think that my car has to be kept very nicely so that I can, I can go to work with it, use it. Then you are not identified with your car. You simply want to take some service of the car. Similarly, if you think that this body is required for working on behalf of the Supreme Lord, therefore I must keep the body fit to work. So that when you think like that, that is not bodily identification, that is not bodily consciousness. But if I use this body for sense gratification, And therefore I want to make my body stout and strong to enjoy sense enjoyment, then that is the cause of my bondage. So it is a simple technique, but we have to understand it and we have to act on it as this program has been made by experienced devotees. Prabhupada is sharing the culture that has been given by experienced devotees in the past, great devotees. Stop there. That's enough for today.
So Prabhupada in this lecture is explaining Krishna culture, how we should act and how we should think and how we should do things. The normal things that we do, but we're going to transform them now. This is what he's calling the technique. Transform them now into Krishna culture. They're the same things everybody else does. They're the same things we were doing before when we were not Krishna conscious. But now we're going to connect it to Krishna. That is what yoga is, connecting things to Krishna. Right? So he's explaining how you can sleep for Krishna, eat for Krishna, cook for Krishna, and keep your body fit for Krishna, and all these different things that are everyday things. You don't have to go to the yoga studio to learn how to do yoga. You're going to do yoga in your daily life, in every different function, and by connecting it to Krishna. That's the real yoga. You're not doing 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night yoga, or half an hour here or 1 hour there, and you're paying someone. You go to the gym to work out. You don't have to do that. If you learn the Krishna culture, everything you do becomes yoga, linked to Krishna. And you become Krishna conscious. It's an amazing lecture. Unbelievable what Prabhupada has explained here.
This understanding is hard. Even people who came from India, but this has been lost.
It's been lost. And see, why was it lost? Because people were doing it. But over time, the Brahmanas stopped reminding them why they were doing it. And then people forgot why they're doing it. And when you forget why you're doing it, eventually you say, well, why should I do this anymore? You know, just like someone told me the other day, there's this one Indian lady who's her friend. Who told me that? Anyway, she said, this Indian lady, it's a young lady, and she's very successful. She does everything different than what we just read, purposely. Her family, her mother and father follow this, right? But they were not able to explain to her why. And she went to school where you have to question everything. That's what they teach in school. Question everything. Question God, question the Guru, question everything, why you're doing. And if you don't get the right answers, then you stop doing it. You see? So the daughter stopped doing it. So she purposely eats meat. She eats more meat than anybody else, purposely. She drinks wine. And she does everything the opposite, with a vengeance. Right? Now she's going to get married now, and she's refusing to do anything Vedic in the marriage. You know, she doesn't want to have the priest, she doesn't want to have the fire sacrifice, nothing. Right? And she's going to have meat and wine and dancing to nonsense music, the whole thing, right? She's completely against her parents' culture, because the parents were not able to explain to her why they were doing all these things. And the parents are helpless. They're just going along with it. They can't help it. It's very interesting. Now you see Prabhupada went to all this trouble to explain this technique called Yoga Sta Kuru Karmani. Sangam Tyakpa Dhananjaya. This verse is extremely important. If you
This is an old lecture.
see, the first lectures of Prabhupada were amazing.
Early days.
1966 lectures, 1967 lectures, 1968 lectures. They're all amazing. They're all like this. He's going through very systematic way to explain Krishna consciousness. And it's all basically the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, he says, so it is a simple technique. He's saying, what he just explained is a simple technique how to connect to Krishna in everything you do. You don't have to take yoga lessons. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to take extra supplements. You don't have to, have Botox. You don't have to do any of those things. Simply follow this culture, Krishna culture. Everything is taken care of. Your health, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your work, your sleeping, your eating. The whole thing is taken care of. And you'll be happy. You don't even have to go to the Ayurvedic clinic. It's unnecessary if you follow this. Yeah. Okay. So he says, and we have to understand it, the simple technique, yoga stuff, how to connect everything to Krishna. And we have to act it on the program as they have been made by experienced devotees. Now, who is the most experienced devotee? Srila Prabhupada. He came to America to teach us this Krishna culture. And this is what our purpose is now. We're trying to teach, because he couldn't cover everybody. So it's he's given us the duty now to follow it ourselves and teach others this Krishna culture. How to do things. Eat, sleep, everything. Cook, bathe, everything. Now, another thing. See the advantage of God consciousness. See, now Prabhupada is the greatest salesman in the history of the world. Now see the advantage. What the salesmen try to do, they try and show you the advantage of following their product or using their product, right? So he's saying, see the advantage of God consciousness. This is the way we have to preach to people. You start by showing them, in fact, today, the lecture I'm going to give is, I'm going to show all the promises of advantages that you'll get, that Krishna promises you in the Bhagavad Gita. There's so many verses where he's promising advantages to the person who reads this book. So Prabhupada says, see the advantage of Krishna consciousness. Now, if you've got determination that I shall not take anything which is not offered to God, because your life is meant for God's service, you earn for God, you cook for God, you eat for God. Therefore, the whole life is like that. Now, if you are cooking for God, if you are purchasing eatables or ingredients to cook for God, then you have to know what sort of things can be offered to God. You see, it's so basic here. Everybody has to eat. Now, he's teaching people how to go through the process of buying, cooking, offering, serving. Because people are doing this every day, 3, 4, 5 times a day. So this is a basic thing. So simply by cooking for Krishna and eating for Krishna, and offering to Krishna and eating for Krishna, you can go back to Godhead. Now, let's look at 9th chapter, 26th verse. Now you're going to see something absolutely amazing. 9th chapter, 26th verse. Bhagavad Gita. Open up your Bhagavad Gitas. Open up your Bhagavad Gita. Okay, who's going to read? Who wants to read? Who wants to read? You want to read? Go ahead. Give him the microphone.
The translation?
What?
The translation?
Purport, 926. Let's pay attention now. 926. What page is it? No, look, 9th chapter, 26th verse. Go ahead.
For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent, blissful abode for eternal happiness.
Okay, you see, he's guaranteeing you, if you're in Krishna consciousness, you're going to attain a permanent, blissful abode, a place where you live for eternal happiness. Go ahead.
The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor, without any kind of qualification.
He's saying it's very easy. Anyone can do this. Even the poorest person can do it. Most poor people are excluded from being able to do nice things because they don't have enough money. Only the rich people can do it. But here he's saying anybody can do it, and you can get what all the rich people want. A permanent place where you can live happily forever. Go ahead.
The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord.
And now he's going to explain that it's actually easy to be a pure devotee. It's not difficult. Anyone can do it. Go ahead.
It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord with genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness because it is so easy and universal.
You see, he's saying so, and he just described what we read today. It's so easy. Anyone can do this because they're doing it already. They're just not doing it with the right mentality or with the right technique. You see. Go ahead.
Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method, and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge.
Okay, now a second advantage. You get eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Good. And by the way, it's the second time you said it's easy. Okay, go ahead.
Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self-sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in an exchange of love and affection.
So this is the main thing Krishna wants. He wants love and affection. Would you say, let's see, let me ask a question and you can answer it. Would you say everybody wants love and affection? Raise your hand. Okay. Sanskrit, do you say that? Right. Now I'm going to say something that's very controversial. Almost nobody gets love and affection in this world. I'll ask Agnidev a question. Did Prabhupada convince us by love and affection? Yeah. Want to say something about that?
Yeah. Prabhupada managed this society, ISKCON. He ruled this society not by force, but by love and affection. by the love and affection that he gave to us, we were conquered, we were captured. We would do anything he asked. Now you can control someone by force or by some mental strength, but eventually that will not stand. But when the control is done by love, then it can last forever. So Prabhupada had us just by his love and affection. Because like he says, everyone is looking for love. Everybody wants affection. Jai Ho. I'm gonna
Margaret, do you want to sing? Huh?
When Prabhu's not here, we have to decide.
Huh?
Here, Prabhu's here, cosmetic. You'll put your hair.
Yeah.
What? Take darshan. What? Go take darshan? Yeah. I like those songs.
यशोमती नंदना व्रजभरनागरा गोकुल रंजन काना गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहर गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहर कालिया दमन विदाना आमला हरिनाम विलासा आमला हरिनाम विलासा विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नगर भोरा वंशी बदान सुवासा भज जन पालना सुरकुर नाशना भज जन पालना सुरकुर नाशना नंद गोधम रखवाला गोविंद माधव नवनीत तास्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाला माधव नवनीत तास्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाला गोविंद नंद गोविंद माधव नवनीत तास्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाला गोविंद माधव नवनीत तास्कर यमुना तथा चरा गोपी बसना हरा यमुना तथा चरा गोपी बसना हरा रास रसिका कृपा मोया श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नाथ भरा श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नाथ भरा भक्ति विनोदाचार्य यशोमती नंदना व्रजभरनागर गोकुल रंजन काना हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Tagore Premanande.
Hare Krishna. So the lecture today is all about Krishna culture. And we did say also that it's being lost in India. So we're going to hear now from Sanjay Prabhu, his personal experience and why he thinks this culture is being lost in India. Let's listen carefully, because we're trying to teach you and we're trying to learn ourselves what is Krishna culture. We don't want it to be lost. Go ahead.
I have seen my grandparents doing a lot of things which were related to Krishna consciousness. So they will not eat food until unless they offer to the Lord. But my parents, like the generation after that, they were not following those things. And the reason for that one, I feel that is the education. Because after independence of India, the Britishers left and the whole education system was converted to Western style. And they got educated into that system, or if they were not educated in that system, means like earlier, like we have Varna Ashram, Dharma was there totally. People were following those things. After that, new jobs were created. So, and the people started becoming engineers and other things. So they were studying all Western things, and their mind got like affected by that. Like, okay, the Western things are good because they were able to earn money better than their parents. But in that process, I think they lost the culture itself. And so one amazing thing I have found, like I belong to a Agarwal community. So that's a special community in India. They don't eat meat at all.
They're businessmen, right?
They are businessmen.
Yeah.
So they come from Agarsen Maharaja, and there is a story behind that. They have 14 sons, and we are vanshans of those 14 people basically. And I lived in Punjab and Rajasthan. So I have seen culture mostly in Rajasthan. It was intact there with my mother's mother. I've seen her doing all those things. And we had
things that are Krishna conscious.
Krishna conscious, yes. We had a room in our home in Rajasthan, which was totally dedicated to the Lord. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, in north we call Nani. So she was praying maybe 6-7 hours a day minimum, daily, in her old age. And she was so dedicated, I couldn't understand her why she is doing so much things. I was small, I think Arush, or maybe smaller than him. And and we had a room in our home where we used to keep our all food stuff, and we were not allowed to take our sleepers, or we were not allowed to go into that room itself. So that was considered as sacred, because all the food stuff were kept there. And if somebody has to enter that room, one has to take bath and then they can enter that one.
It was a stock room.
Stock room, yeah. And in the home, we were not allowed to take sleepers at all. So sleepers were kept outside the home. And if it is cold, because Rajasthan and Punjab gets colder in winter, so we were given wooden sleepers in home, so we can move around in the home. And the thing which I remembered me, and which has affected me a lot, we used to eat food together. So my auntie used to cook food on chula, wooden chula. And we used to sit, all children used to sit around that chula, and she'll serve one roti each to everybody. And that experience, still I remember. And whenever I go to my my aunt place, I ask her always to make food for me on chula only. So we'll sit together and eat. So that was an amazing experience. I still remember that one. Another interesting fact, which I recently learned, that when I came here in Seattle, I have seen South Indian devotees here. They have a separate sink for the Krishna. They will wash the utensils of Krishna and whatever cooking utensil in a separate sink. I have not seen those things in my family. I don't know why I have missed it. Then one of my friends, he is from Bihar. He is from my own community. But I think they may have got separated from the Agarwal community long time back, centuries ago. So still, he told me that in their home, they have a separate room for cooking food for Lord. Mm. So I was amazed, and then this time I went to India. I asked my parents, did we have similar type of thing? They couldn't remember we had that things. So, but my grandparent doesn't exist now, both the sides. So still, I will try to find that information when I go next.
Well, these are all the rules Prabhupada established for deity worship.
Yeah. So it was
separate kitchen, separate utensils, separate sink.
Yeah. And interestingly, the people that my friend who is from Bihar, they don't eat onion garlic at all. And in my home, I asked my mother, we were not even eating potatoes and tomatoes, garlic and onion.
Well, potatoes and tomatoes are not Vedic vegetables. Yeah. They were imported from South America. So when in Jagannath Puri, they don't offer any potatoes or tomatoes to Lord Jagannath. Yeah. They're not considered Vedic vegetables.
And onion and garlic came with my father's generation. Before that, they were not eating those things.
Yeah. Well, the Vaishnavas never touch onion and garlic. They're Rajasic and Tamasic. Yeah.
That's all.
So why do you think, explain a little bit more why the culture has degraded? You said it because of the modern education after
modern education, and another thing, when I was a child, I had a lot of questions, and so I used to ask my grandmother why she prays a lot, and what she's getting out of it. Because that's how human mind works. If you do something, you want something out of it. So I remember that she was not able to explain me those things. Or I was not at that time and I studied in a Christian school, and and I got introduced to the Western Christianity there, And in those schools, we were never taught about our culture. My parents never taught me about my culture. But we used to follow what we used to follow. I remember my grandfather used to do Ram Puja. So everybody used to gather in one room, in a temple room, and we used to do puja. And my grandmother and my aunt, eldest aunt.
Quiet. Listen.
My elder aunt, they used to do every day. There was some function at home related to the Lord. Every day. I couldn't understand why they are doing it. But after coming to Seattle and joining here basically, so I tried to find out what was those things were there. And it was amazing, Prabhu. Every day something or other was there, 365 days. And slowly that got lesson and lesson. Now, my mother doesn't know many things because my father, he was in the army, so we have to move every 3 years. So she had some ideas, but she never used to do those things because we used to be in different stations, in remote stations, because of the posting of my father. And but whenever I used to go to my hometown, and I used to see my grandmother and my old aunt, they were doing amazing things, but we couldn't follow. We couldn't understand why they are doing. I remember one day, they were doing Govardhan Puja. Govardhan Puja, they had a big heap of gobar, and they made something out of it, and then they got a small cow, and on that day, the goalas used to take small cows to every home. But they never taught us why they are doing those things. They used to ask us, sit down here, and we were just waiting for the prasadam, okay, now we will get a good prasadam. Yeah. So, and that's how I grew up basically. And yeah, but
I'd like to add something. Yeah. So, yeah, whatever Sanjay Prabhu told is actually very true in terms of why our culture lost. But I would feel that apart from that also, the biggest destroyer of the culture is our modern inventions. So when there was no television, nothing, people used to go, the basic entertainment for most of the people in villages and towns is to go to the temple, do kirtan, have their food and sleep by 7 o'clock. Everybody used to sleep by 7 p.m. Okay? There is not much, most of them, they don't have electricity.
PM.
7 p.m., yeah. So by 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., I remember still there are few villages that still follow like this, but it's very, very remote villages. But that culture is destroyed because of the invention of the TV. Once the television come, people, even in the villages, they started looking into
I'll tell you how they did it. I'll tell you, when the TV first came, they came out with Mahabharata and Ramayana.
Not really, before that even. I mean, Mahabharata and Ramayana came very late, but TV actually introduced, maybe I don't remember,
TV
in
in
India.
The villages became popular because of Ramayana and Mahabharata.
I won't agree on that, because see, every human being, is my personal opinion, every human being has a very tendency to adopt bad things fast, quicker than the good things. So they actually attracted from the Western related things, because most of the people try to adopt the bad things but not good things from Western culture.
Well, what the television does is it glorifies the bad things.
Yeah, glorifies, but still there are good things also they telecast on TVs, but people don't take that. But it's natural prone to taking bad things quicker than the good things. What I feel that it's a human tendency.
You're attributing the degradation of the culture mainly because of the television. That's what you just said.
Television is one of the biggest factor in that, because I still see that my like Prabhuji said, my grandmother used to come to my house, we used to be small town. She used to go to Vitthal temple, which is very close to our. Every 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, they used to go and do. We call it Kakad Arti. We call Mangala. It's same like Mangala Arti. They call it Kakad Arti in Maharashtra. So they used to go early morning, like 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock to the temple, do puja, bhajan, and every day. And in the evening also they used to do. But after doing, like even in the rural area, people started watching TV. They stopped going to the temple, stopped going to the Sankirtan. Otherwise, there's no entertainment. People used to go and gather at the common place in the town and they talk to each other and then have kirtan or something, because that is the major entertainment for them. There is no exposure to TV or nothing, so they have enough time to talk to each other and spend time with the like God or do bhajan,
What's
kirtan.
the major entertainment in this temple? What's the major entertainment in this temple?
Oh, obviously the preaching, and then I mean there is no entertainment, but I'm saying kirtan. Yeah.
Kirtan.
Yeah.
This is the Hare Krishna Sankirtan movement.
Yeah.
I mean, the greatest pleasure is going out on Sankirtan, even in the rain.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
You want to say something?
Yeah. Haribol.
Yeah.
I'll add some more things. Like my grandfather died in, like he got a heart attack, maybe something like that, and he died in 2 hours only. And he never got sick in his life. And I think he was in his 80s when he left his body. So the eating habit he had was, he used to eat 2 times a day only. And he used to eat only the fresh food. My grandmother, she died similar way, and she never had a problem in her life throughout her life basically. And she used to eat only fresh cooked food only. Like,
yeah, no leftovers.
No leftovers, never. And she never got sick in her life. I never seen her sick in her life. My grandfather also.
Plus, she was doing the puja 6 hours a day.
Yeah. Yes.
And chanting and all those things. Yeah. That's what Prabhupada said here. He says, if you just follow this way of life, you won't get you'll be healthy, you'll be happy, and Krishna will be always blessing you in a different way, so you don't have any anxiety for life. You know.
And we have the Vedic culture is amazing knowledge, and is totally scientific. Totally scientific. Like just as you said, like I went to South India, and I was there for a Panchakarma treatment. I mean, the way they treated me, means the Ayurveda is totally a different thing. It's actual science, basically proper science, and it's better science than what the treatment we get in America here. It's amazing, basically, and it has very simple things, very, very simple things, and it's Krishna consciousness teaches us here, but we don't take it seriously. So, like for example, like Krishna has said that we should not eat stale food. Like within 3 hours we should eat the food. So, if we follow that thing, I think nobody will get sick. They will not get any problem, because I have seen in my own life my grandparents. They have never eaten stale food and they never got sick.
Did they have a refrigerator?
No. So
you don't need a refrigerator if you only eat fresh food.
No, we don't need at all. So they used to like cook in the morning, eat fresh. If they want something to be cooled down, we had well at home. Like for example, they want to eat what do you call it? Tarbooj ko? Watermelon.
They put it in the well.
They put it in the well.
Or the river, yeah.
Yeah, they put it in the well, and after some time, they will pull it out, and it will be too cool to eat, basically. Yeah. And they used to like in winter it's freezing cold, but they will take bath from the well water, and the well water will be hot.
Because it's underground.
Underground.
Yeah.
And in winter it will be cold because of the.
Yeah, because it's underground.
Yeah. And they will sit around. I asked my father like what they were doing in.
See, one time a man came from Mars, and he was trying to analyze people on the Earth. So, in the wintertime, he saw this man go like this. And he said, "Why did you do that?" And the man said, I'm warming up my hands. He said, oh, okay, I got it. So he wrote that down in his book. But in the summertime, he saw the man going like this. He said, why'd you do that? He said, I'm cooling off my hands. So he wrote back to Mars. He said, don't come to this planet. The people are not rational here. They don't know what they're doing. So the well, in the summertime, they put the watermelon there to cool it off. And in the wintertime, they put the watermelon there to heat it up.
And probably another amazing thing I've seen there is the Bavadi. Bavadi used to be a well, a big well. I think the diameter will be like 10 to 20 meters, 10 meters I think, diameter of the well. And all around the well there will be rooms within the underground. And that was a place where people used to go in summer. And they'll sit there as a community area type of thing. Basically.
It's cooler there.
Cooler there, yeah.
Yeah. My mother used to say, she had a saying, a proverb, whenever she was referring to crazy people, she'd say, they pass through on the same well that they draw water from. It's this like village proverb, but it actually makes sense, right? People are so crazy nowadays that they're accepting things that are like poisonous, and they think it's okay, like marijuana or other things like that. So that's like passing stool in the well that you draw water from to drink. Okay, so we'll finish up now, and Prabhupada says, see the advantage of God consciousness. If you've got determination that I shall not eat anything which is not offered to God, because, why? Because our life is meant to serve Krishna. So therefore, we should not eat anything that's not offered first to Krishna. As Krishna says, Pacham Pushpan Phalam Toyam, which we read the purport, some of the purport to that, 9:26. So then he says, you earn for God, you cook for God, you eat for God. Therefore, the whole life is like that. Now, if you are cooking for God, if you are purchasing the necessities in the supermarket or wherever for God, because your life is meant for God's service. You earn for God, you cook for God, you eat for God. Therefore, the whole life is like that. Now, if you are cooking for God, if you are purchasing store-bought foods for God, then you have to know what sort of things can be offered to God. So in other words, you can shop for God also. Everyone is shopping almost every day. Everyone is cooking almost every day. Everyone is eating every day. Everyone is bathing every day. Everyone is sleeping every day. All these things can be done for Krishna. Right? And these are things that you do anyway, but maybe not for Krishna. Now he's teaching us how to do all these things for Krishna. And he says, you will find later chapters that pachanti te tvagam papa. The idea is that anyone who is doing everything for the sake of the Lord, he is freed from all sinful reactions. But anyone who is doing anything on his own account, he is being entangled in the actions and reactions. So that is the technique of becoming yogastha. Yogastha kurukarmani. You should only do things for Krishna, not do things that meant for your own personal sense gratification or satisfaction. It should be done things should only be done for pleasing Krishna. Now, how to please Krishna, that's what Prabhupada is teaching us. And this is the culture. All these things like your grandmother used to do, it was the culture of pleasing Krishna. She's still eating, she's still sleeping, she's still going to the store buying things, she's still cooking. But now, she was doing it according to Krishna culture. How to do it to please Krishna. Right? And then it says, so now we go into the next sloka, 949, which we'll do next week. So, homework. Explain how you can do all the things that are in normal life for Krishna. That is, sleep, eat, shop. Huh? Explain how all the ordinary things you do, that is, cooking, eating, shopping, exercising, sleeping, talking. We'll go down the whole list of everything you do every day, normally. How you can do all those things for Krishna, so that you'll be 24 hours a day Krishna conscious. And that is called Krishna culture. You got that, Arush? You want to do your homework? Did you do your homework for today? No? You didn't do your duty. You did? Okay, let me hear. Get the microphone. Anybody else? Did Sanskriti do her homework? What? Oh, you didn't come yesterday. Okay. I thought you watched the internet. You didn't listen to the internet yesterday? The class? Okay, go ahead.
Assignment. What is the difference between working as a matter of doing the duty as per the instructions of Krishna or working for your own sense gratification? 1. Working as a matter of doing the duty as per the instructions of Krishna. First of all, we need to understand what is the highest goal of our life. The answer to this question is to perform yoga to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
What does yoga mean?
Yoga means to concentrate the mind on Krishna over the disturbing senses.
Yeah, okay. In other words, you link up with Krishna.
Yeah.
You connect to Krishna, everything.
And that's what I said after that. The only way to overcome the senses is dictated by Krishna. Krishna dictated the duty through the Varna, Ashrama, Dharma. There are 4 Varnas. The 4 Varnas are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. There are also 4 ashramas. The 4 ashramas are brahmacharis, grihastha, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. These 2 determine the duties of a person. All living entities have to perform their prescribed duties to satisfy Krishna.
Very good.
Working for your own sense gratification. Sense gratification means acting to satisfy one's senses. This is bad because Krishna states in 2.67, even if one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. If one's intelligence is gone, that means you cannot follow the 4 regulative principles. And so you become an animal. Hence,
a lot of animals nowadays.
Hence, you should always perform your prescribed duty with sincerely and offer the results to Krishna and be happy. This is also called a karma.
Very good. So did Krishna 1 1/4 do his homework?
Can I give it on Saturday? Because I didn't have time.
Okay.
Also,
Your standing is either 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 or 2 will depend on next week's presentation. You want to be there? No, you should be 1. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Did you do last week's homework? Okay, Agastya did homework. Okay, one second. Let Agastya read. Give him the microphone.
So the question was, explain the difference between working as a matter of duty to serve Krishna and working for your own sense gratification.
Yes.
So this is kind of like a karma and good karma. So we already know what a karma is. It is working as a matter of duty to serve Krishna without hoping for fruitive results. Now, what is good karma? Good karma is doing work for your own sense gratification. Sure, you're doing something good to do that, so it is better than bad karma, but it is still bad. You could call it the lesser of two evils. So I'm going to compare a karma and good karma in this chart here. So like in general, a karma is like good and good karma is actually bad. And a karma will help you with Krishna consciousness, while good karma won't. Good karma will make you get entangled in sense gratification, and a karma won't do that. And good karma makes you entangled in the material world, and because if you do good karma, you'll have to take birth again and again to get the results of that. But a karma doesn't make you entangled in the material world. Actually, it helps you go back to Krishna.
Haribol. Very good. Yes? Okay, well, you read what you did. Did you do your homework? Okay, you're next, but let Krishna go.
If you work taking for it as a matter of duty to Krishna and give him what you worked for, you will not have any attachment to the fruit of end result. By doing this, you can attain eternal life with the Supreme. But if you work to please your own senses, it will be temporary. If you give the work to Krishna, it will be eternal. That is the difference.
Good. Good. Riya, give Riya the microphone. Go ahead. Hold the microphone near you. Yeah.
Working to please Krishna's senses and not being attached to the result is called akarma. When you work for Krishna, you do not work for sense gratification. For example, when you cook for Krishna, you work to please Krishna's senses, not yours. If you work for sense gratification, you are working to please your senses.
Good. And you want to okay. Arush? What? Okay. Next week. Okay, good. And here he is. Go ahead.
Working for your own senses means sense gratification. You work for material enjoyment. When you work to please Krishna, you give all your results to Krishna. That way you don't have to worry and you don't take birth again. Yoga means keeping in touch with Krishna. Dictation means someone talking. Varnashram dharma means doing your duty as per your role. Proprietorship means ownership, and opite means acting on drugs, and equalize means supporting all sides.
Okay, good. You did your homework. All right, well, thank you. So what's the homework for next Saturday? Krishna, you know what the homework is for next Saturday? What is it?
Explain how all the ordinary things we do, like the daily activities we do in our life, can be related to Krishna.
Very good.
Once you told me even the mustache can be related to Krishna. Cut it.
Well, but you already cut yours, so you're okay. Okay, so you know what you're going to do next week, Tulsi, for homework? Okay, Sanskriti, you know what the homework is? You have 2 homeworks, right? Homework for today, that you're going to do for next week, you're going to explain how all the ordinary things you do in your life can be connected to Krishna. And that's called Krishna culture. Okay? Okay, Haribol. Okay, what verses? Ria is asking a very important question. Krishna, listen. Agastya, listen. She's saying, and Arush, listen. Ria said, what verses will help us answer this question for next week? How all the ordinary things you do in your life can be. So, 9:26. And also, this lecture that we read by Prabhupada today, right? You have the sheet? Okay. So if you look carefully at this lecture, what we read today is all about how to, the technique of everything you do normally in your life can become yoga, connected to Krishna. Okay? So you have two sources, 9:26, right, Arush? And what we read today. You have the sheet of what we read today. Okay. What? You don't have it? Okay, I'll give it to you. What? It's verses 48 and 49, the second chapter. It's a lecture that Prabhupada gave on those two verses, right?